Hello, welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I am in this moon base where we just excavated a giant sarcophagus with some weird writing on it. To help me translate this writing is Matt Brandenburg.
I think what it says is go ahead, open it. There'll be no problems, I promise.
Do you think that's right, Vitlame?
As a person who has studied languages, I can assure you that the inscription says "Doom resides within." So buckle up.
So I was just a little off.
Just a little off.
I mean, doom, happiness, they're the same shit, you know?
Yeah, just a couple letter differences.
Today we are going to be discussing the new novella Gore by Matt Wildasin, which is a very fun tribute to Doom. The video game
such
Doom.
A big love letter. Honestly,
it's a huge love letter to Doom. But even if you haven't played Doom, because out of the three of us, I can vouch, all three of us really enjoyed the book. I'm the only one who played Doom.
Yeah, I've watched my brother watch it, and I watched my husband watch when he played Doom 3, and he said that like Doom 3 was really like scary and like anxiety inducing.
Doom 3 was when it first came out, and then you realize, oh, it's just the low lighting and the enemies jump out at you. So it's always a jump scare when you go into a new corridor.
That's so true. Yes, exactly. That's basically it.
Hey, it works for haunted houses.
Oh, actually, I have an announcement, kind of.
Uh-oh.
Every October in my area of Massachusetts, there's a haunted house called Barrett's Haunted Mansion. And guess who just got a part-time job as an actor this fall?
Oh, that's gonna be amazing.
Nice.
So I'll be at Barrett's Haunted Mansion in costume and scaring people.
Nice.
Oh, that'd be so great.
But I will say this book is more inspired by the 2016 version of Doom and its sequel, Doom Eternal. Both of those games are super fun and also super over the top and ridiculous and very gory, just like this book.
Yeah. I mean, the title tells you everything to expect.
Yeah, the title and the cover just tells you everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
But before we dive in, also, I will say, too, give the book a purchase. We're not just saying this because Matt Wildasin is a friend of the podcast, which, if you're a longtime listener, you know he's a very good friend of the podcast. It's just a really good novella. And I feel of like a lot of the new indie horror writers, no one's really talking about Matt's work. Yeah. And like, I think Matt is a really fun writer.
He really is. Yeah. Of all the stories that I've enjoyed, I've enjoyed all of the stories.
Yeah, I've liked everything I've read by him. And I would like more of his stuff to be read. But like, no, like honestly, Matt's a really good voice. His stuff's really fun.
He's such a good cover designer, guys. Are you kidding me? I've got
book cover. Well, she has a book cover from Matt. It's a great cover.
Yeah, I mean, I've been like, I got a couple of copies, and I went to work, and everyone bought it and said it was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, my friend did it. He's awesome.
Yeah, no, he makes some really great covers, and yeah, reading his work like Melancholia, I mean, that was really good and really, he hit some really good and deep thoughts in that book, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun reading this and just seeing, and like we said, I know I've played the first Doom on a computer at one point, and I know I rented it for Super Nintendo, but I don't think that counts at all. So.
You know what you guys have to do after this podcast? And this will be to our listeners too. I want you to go on Google and I want you to type up Doom comic book 1996.
Oh, okay.
And they released a comic in 96 that you can read online. And it is the dumbest, most macho thing that like you can ever fucking read.
Amazing.
It is so fucking stupid. It is the dumbest fucking thing. Like, okay, I open up a panel right now, and this panel is from an article called "The Doom Comic: Still the Best of the Worst After 11 Years." And it shows our main character, who's the Space Marine, holding a demon spine in his hand with a hallway full of dead, gore-filled demons. And he's saying, "I'm cooking with gas. I got a handful of vertebrae and a head full of mad. That's your spinal cord, baby. Dig it. Who's the man? I'm the man. I'm a bad man. How bad? Real bad. I'm a 12.0 on a 10.0 scale of badness. I don't need a gun. Guns are for wussies."
Oh my god. That is magical.
It's fucking terrible, but it needs to be seen because it's just too funny. There's another image of him kicking down a door, and it says, "Knock, knock. Who's there? Me, 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 me."
All right, I do have to read this.
Just Google Doom 1996 comic. You'll be able to find scans online. Normally, I wouldn't say, "Hey, pirate stuff," but this thing's long out of print, and it's magical. It's pure magic.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
But I think before we dive into Gore, we should go over some media stuff for the last week.
Let's do it.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna rip off the Band-Aid because I seem to have no life. I fucking binged One Piece in 2 days.
I think there were only 8 episodes.
Yeah, and the anime is like 178 episodes, 1,078 episodes right now. You can't do that in 2 days. That's like
that'd be pretty rough.
That's like a 3-week binge if you want to catch up, no breaks.
It's like 10 screens going at once.
Yeah. Or like the fucking Futurama Fry binge thing. That was the dumbest shit. You could do that. But the One Piece live action Netflix adaptation, surprisingly very good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm genuinely surprised because usually anime adaptations tend to suck really bad.
Yep. Well, that usually happens with people who don't know the source material or not treating the source material with respect.
Yes. And you can tell this is made by like hardcore One Piece fans.
Yeah.
Also, I will say, I do know Oda, the manga author, was very involved in the series as well, where he would demand to see the rough cut.
Oh, nice.
And he'd have feedback for every scene. And they would pretty much have to follow his feedback or most of his feedback. And then they wouldn't go into final edits until he was happy with the rough cut.
Oh, gee.
And then once the rough cut was done and he was happy, they went and did the final edits and stuff. So Oda had like a very heavy involvement in this because One Piece is his baby, and he wants, like, I mean, any creator wants their work to be read widely. And like, I feel when I was a kid, I don't know if it was different in Iceland, Vitlame, but like growing up in the 90s, being into anime when I was like a kid, watching Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing and all that shit, everyone got made fun of for liking anime for those who like anime.
Well, in Iceland in the 90s, anime didn't exist in Iceland, basically. Unless they were on videotapes and they were hardcore Akira or 3x3 Eyes, which were super bloody and gory. And people didn't call it anime. They just said Japanese movies.
Japanese movies.
Yeah.
It got to a point when I was a kid, my dad would go to the flea market and buy Japanese bootleg tapes with fan subs.
I envy you. Yeah, I remember because I was drawn to the drawing style.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, and I always wanted to watch this. And when I was, I think I was 9 years old, and my brother was 7. We decided to rent Akira.
I saw Akira when I was like...
Yeah, we were traumatized. Yeah.
The hospital scene, no, the hospital scene when Tetsuo is in the psychic people military base, and the stuffed animals and cars are like bleeding milk everywhere.
Yep.
That like fucking traumatized me when I was a kid.
Yep. Yeah, and the stadium scene.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that was like at that point my brother just looked at me like, "What are we watching?"
Tetsuo, Kaneda.
Yeah.
But no, for real, like that anime, I watched it when I was a kid because I watched it before I knew what anime was. I was like on HBO or something, scrolling through TV, and I'm like, oh, this is a cartoon, and I started watching it, and I was very traumatized from what I had witnessed in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is not for kids.
No, it's definitely not for kids. But after that, it was no turning back. I was like, I love this kind of drawing style. I need to watch more.
Honestly, and Akira still holds up to this day. Like its art is amazing. Like the manga still looks amazing.
Yeah.
The animation, the movie's incredible.
Yeah, the animation is still really fluid.
Yeah, like I'm amazed at how high quality that movie is.
And I also just love that, you can see in almost every single anime since that came out, you will always see someone do the Kanata bike stop.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep,
that's like one thing I know.
Yeah, it's like I think you can find it on YouTube, like a compilation of all the anime doing the Kanata bike stop.
Yep.
Like in some form or variation, there's always going to be like that, and I just love that.
In Cyberpunk 2077, they add in Kaneda's bike as a buyable car in that game.
Yeah, they even had it in Ready Player One, I think.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's iconic. Yeah. I will say before we get back to the One Piece thing, Otsumo, the director and the writer of the manga for Akira, he's actually involved in a new anime series that is adapting the full manga for Akira.
Holy shit, really?
Yes.
Damn.
So that should be fucking wild when that comes out. But yeah, he's heavily involved in that. So that's his big project right now. Because when we did the movie for Akira, so for our audience, just a little history thing. Manga is weekly chapters, where American comics are monthly issues. So like when people making a manga, they're pumping out a chapter a week.
Well, it depends on the publication. Sometimes there are monthly publications as well.
Back in the 80s, that wasn't really the case, though.
Yeah, true.
That's more of a newer thing to make up for the horrible treatment of mangakas in Japan.
They're still treated horrible, but that's beside the point.
But at least it's at least they get breaks now. They used to not get breaks.
Yeah.
So but sometimes you have publications that come out once a month, and those are mostly one shot. Sometimes it's longer series. Akira was a weekly series, so Otsumo was drawing the series weekly. It was unfinished when it became a movie. He was directing the movie while still drawing the manga series at the same time.
That is
and insane. The manga series was still continued after the movie was done. And the manga and the movie kind of become two different things. So it'd be cool to kind of see his full vision become a new animation. But I digress. Back to One Piece. Oda's hoping this will be America's way to get into One Piece a bit more. And honestly, I think the show's a lot of fun. It really captures the spirit of what makes One Piece so enjoyable for lots of people. And it's not afraid to go as zany and over the top as One Piece gets. Like they fully do all the devil fruit powers. Like
I don't know what that is.
Luffy in One Piece, people who eat a devil fruit gain an ability from it. So Luffy eats the fruit called the gum fruit, which turns him into rubber, and he can stretch.
Okay.
And there's another character named Buggy the Clown, who's a clown pirate, who ate the chop fruit. And his body can get chopped up and reassemble itself.
Ah, that's a good one.
And they do all that. Like you see it all happen. And they just fully embrace how bonkers One Piece kind of gets as it goes on.
Yeah, I remember with the clown, I thought it was really ridiculous, but then when he starts showing his powers, like, oh, you are actually formidable? Who thunk? But then of course but then he still shows his goofy side. I'm like, no, you're still a clown. Never mind.
Yeah, he does both in the anime too. There's part in the anime and the live action. There's parts where he's kind of menacing, and there's other parts where like he's just being a silly clown.
Yep.
But you can tell the actor who's playing Buggy the Clown is having a blast. And
I think everyone in this group is just basically having a blast.
Oh, they're all having such a good time. And my TikTok, when I open up TikTok the day after One Piece, and people have already been making Buggy thirst trap edits.
Oh boy.
The internet has everyone thought it was going to be like the two thirst trap edits I'm seeing on TikTok are just Buggy and Zoro. Or Buggy and Zoro, and I'm like, the internet would really latch on to Buggy. Like they would just go full Buggy.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised about this.
Yeah.
But overall, the story of the One Piece is it follows our main character, Monkey D. Luffy, who's a boy who eats the gum fruit, which allows him to gain the properties of rubber so he can stretch. And he has one goal and one dream, and that is to become king of the pirates. And long ago, a pirate lord has hid his treasure, the One Piece. And before he was executed, he said, whoever can find my treasure, find the One Piece, will become the next king of the pirates. And that's Luffy's adventure, to assemble a pirate crew and find the One Piece and become king of the pirates. He still hasn't found the One Piece yet. The manga's been going on since 1997. Yeah. He still hasn't found it yet, but apparently he will soon.
It's been 20 years, man.
Yeah,
it's been over 20 years.
It's been over 20 years. But hopefully, Oda has said the manga is now in its final arc. So who knows how long that's going to last? It could be 2 years. It could be 3 years. But it's coming to an end eventually. But that being said, the premise of the show is just fantasy pirates. Do you want to see fun hijink fantasy pirate stuff that gets pretty emotional and heartfelt? One Piece fills that for you pretty easy. It's a lot of fun. The makeup is cool. All the actors nail the characters super well. And it's just a really good time.
Well, that is good.
I'd recommend checking it out. I think both of you would enjoy it. Even Matt, even if you know nothing about One Piece, I think you'd have a great time with it.
I mean, it looked interesting. It looked like a lot of colors and yeah, I might give it a whirl.
There are a lot of colors, and all the sets were built.
Oh, that's cool.
Like there's some obvious green screen stuff, but like all the floating sets, the boats, those are all fully built. The show's actually one of the most expensive TV shows ever made.
Really? That's insane.
It costed about $16 million an episode.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Like, they fucking put in work in making this show. So, but yeah, that's One Piece. Also, I was at Walmart last weekend.
Brag.
And what did I find? I found Metalocalypse Army of the Doomstar. The new Metalocalypse movie. So of course I had to buy it.
Of course.
And let me just say, were either of you into Metalocalypse at all when it was on Adult Swim or no?
No.
I mean, I watched some of it, but I was never like
I love this is my college show. Like I watched this show all the fucking time in college. The movie, if you like Metalocalypse, the movie finishes up everything. It ends the series. And it's a really fun movie. But if you're not into the Metalocalypse series and this is the first thing you see, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? It is not a friendly movie if you're not familiar with the property. If you are familiar with the property, you'll get what's going on. But if you buy it, you're gonna be lost. You have no idea about Metalocalypse. But the premise is pretty much the Metalocalypse focuses on a fictional band called Death Clock, who are a death metal band and the most famous band in the world of Metalocalypse. And the apocalypse is about to happen. And the only way to prevent it is for Death Clock to create the Song of Salvation. And only the Song of Salvation can save the world. And so the movie follows the band trying to write the Song of Salvation, not knowing what the fuck to do. And it is bonkers. I think my favorite thing is there's a scene where like the singer of the band gets put on Xanax to help him overcome his exhaustion. And he's walking around the room going, I'm on Xanax! Just yelling it out to everybody he sees. And I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid. But I love it. I had many good laughs watching the movie.
Well, good.
Besides that, all I did was I finished reading Gore by Matt Wildasin, which we'll talk about in a bit. And I'm about halfway through Savages by Don Winslow.
Oh, nice.
Which I know I've talked about Don Winslow before on this podcast. We know I love Don Winslow. I think he's one of the best living thriller writers. And I'm going to read from you chapter 1 from his book Savages. Okay? Chapter 1. Fuck you. That's the chapter.
That's perfect.
That's how he opens the book. Just fuck you. The book is about a throuple, Ben, Jon, and Ophelia. Ben and Jon are both in love with Ophelia. Ben is a marijuana grower. I will say this takes place before we legalize marijuana in many states in this country. But Ben is a marijuana grower, and Jon is kind of his muscle, and also his right-hand man who helps him out with the business. And Ophelia is just the girl that they're both in love with. Jon is a former Marine, and he has a violent side to him. And Ben is a very peaceful, kind of like peace and love kind of guy. One day, the Baja Cartel sends them a video of somebody being decapitated and tells them that they want them to grow for their cartel. And if they refuse, the video is going to have the sequel. And Ben, neither of them want to do this. Ben wants to leave. He's like, let's get out of Venice Beach. Let's go somewhere else and move our business there. And Jon is kind of like, fuck you. Fuck you for wanting me to work for you. Fuck you for having me do this for you. Fuck you. And then a two-man war begins happening between the Baja Cartel and Ben, Jon, and Ophelia, where the cartel ends up kidnapping Ophelia, and Ben and Jon kidnap the cartel leader's daughter. And it becomes a cat and mouse game between the cartel and Ben and Jon as it builds up. It is very fucked up. It is not a breezy read. In short chapters, short sentences, it reads fast. This is a violent fucking book. And it's uncomfortably violent. But that's kind of the point. Is like cartels are really fucked up. And he's kind of proven the point of how fucked up all this really is. Have you seen the movie, Matt?
No, I was gonna say this sounded like the movie that I saw came out, but I never actually saw.
So the movie's okay. The movie is close to the book until it's not. And then once it starts doing its own thing, it falls apart.
Yeah.
But the parts of the movie that are close to the book, especially with the violence, it's just so cold and so fast and so clinical that like you just feel dirty watching some of what happens in that movie.
Yeah.
So I've read the movie, so I kind of know where the story's going. But that being said, if you want a really fast, fun thriller, crime thriller, I'm like halfway through this book. It's great. It is classic Don Winslow. And I'm sad he's retiring after his next book next year. But Matt, what about you?
Yeah, not much, I guess, for this week besides reading Gore. I reread Jon Padgett's Secrets. I just lost that R. Secrets of Ventriloquism.
Great book.
Yeah, it's so good. And this is the, I guess, expanded edition. This is the new one he just released. And, we were talking about it a little bit before the show. So I have read this before, but I didn't, I guess, pick up on it last time, or maybe either way, reading it this time, it's just so interesting how connected everything is. Each story is, there's a connection to another story, and like it's it's a bit of a arc about Dunstown and about this paper mill and about I think it's Jonathan or Joseph Snavely who wrote the Secret 20 Simple Steps. So like anyway, it's just I will see every once in a while on Twitter or posted other places, or people asking about or talking about writing a short story interconnected short story collection and like looking to see what ones there are. And I never see this come up, which is just fascinating because like, I mean, it is extremely connected, everything in there. And not that like in the order, because it's Jon Padgett, it's not like it's in order. So you're jumping back and forth all over the place with every story in there, but it's just he's such a good writer, and he's such he definitely takes like the Ligotti mantle with this one, and just like vision, like just everything that he puts in here, it is just all this kind of disturbing thing, and he's got his like when we talk about like Ligotti, it's always mannequins and puppets and in some other things, but those are usually the main two that you can kind of focus on, and clowns, that's the other one. Padgett's got his own, I mean, besides the ventriloquist dummy, he's also the dummies. He's also got Daddy Longlegs, which I picked up a lot on this time. It's just like he's something must have happened to him when he was younger, and now he's obsessed with Daddy Longlegs because they make an appearance in a lot of different ways, from a monster kind of thing all the way to like a light, like a street lamp that has Daddy Longleg type eyes. So it's just. It was just, again, it's really fun to reread it and pick up these things. The one thing I didn't do, and I should have, and maybe Rich, besides like Flight 3, I think Flight 389 or 357 or whatever like that, I wasn't sure what new stories were added or what he did to expand this version.
Shit. I believe there's 3 stories that are added into this edition.
Okay.
One's Flight, I think it's 3 something.
We covered that story.
Yeah.
We covered that story. Another one is the chapbook. He released a chapbook through Nightscape Press. Or Origami Dreams.
Okay. Yep. That one's a good one.
Origami Dreams is also new to this edition. And there's one more that I forget.
Yeah, I should have like.
But
yeah.
I feel he needs a new collection, but he just keeps on adding on to Dunstown.
Yeah, and like, which like, yeah, I like you can keep your setting, just move to a new set of stories. That would be good. But
20 Simple Steps, I still think, is one of the best horror stories ever written.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is just such a menacing short story.
Especially in audio form, it's terrifying. So creepy.
Yeah, there's oh gosh, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't pull the stories out, specific names, but there's like a detective one where they're going
when she's going to the paper mill that has a black smoke coming out of it.
Yes.
That story's so good. It's Info Sorm, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think so. But that one, like, that one's really good. This it just, again, like, it's fun having. I think I've read the first version of this like 3 or 4 years ago, but rereading it now with just a little bit more Ligotti experience and a little bit more Padgett experience, you can just see the parallels of what they're doing. Padgett's definitely not like, he's not like the people that kind of just emulate Lovecraft. He's doing his own thing. So I don't want people to think I'm saying that, but like, you can still see the parallels of like this paper mill and like the Red Tower and stuff like that. So it's just, I was so happy that he re-released this, and it's a new edition, and it was fun to read, and just experience it all again, and just to find that connections between everything, because I think that's like, it was really neat, and just kind of gives you this town and this like a fuller experience, which is like a fun story or collection concept of just building onto this one place and all the weird things that happen, and having it all maybe not quite happen all at the same time, but happen enough where you get these passes between stories of either this event happened years ago, where like, yeah, we just saw this person, and then you're like, oh, I read that story and I know what they're talking about. So anyway, it's great. Padgett's amazing. Get the book, and you'll love it. You'll have a ton of fun with it. And I think that's like the main thing. I just started reading Hyde by Keirsten White. I don't know.
How is it?
So I guess I'm like a quarter of the way through, maybe just a little bit more than that. And it's fun. It's definitely like, if I were to, I mean, like, the description compares it to Squid Game and other things. And I haven't gotten quite to this. I know there's something like a bigger, like a Cabin in the Woods-esque type of situation going on. I haven't quite got there yet, but like, she throws in it, or they throw in enough hints that you're kind of like, okay, something bigger is going on besides a hide and seek contest, which is just like such a crazy concept if you think about it, but it's fine. But it feels like a popcorn summer blockbuster, as the chapters run fast, pages run fast. There's not, as especially coming off of Padgett and then jumping into this, you're kind of like, okay, this is like a fun turn off the brain kind of book. I'm not gonna think about anything when I'm reading it. That's what it feels like right now. Mm-hmm. There is some interesting, like, she's kind of poking fun at, like, I guess Gen Z and millennial type of people. So like our 14 characters are all like app designers or fashion designers or CrossFit people or a prank show host, and like, so I think it's supposed to be poking fun of that, maybe just a little, but also kind of like, I don't know, highlighting there is like one good line that I kind of picked up in it, where one of the characters, I think, is a jewelry designer or something, because again, there's 14 characters, and I did read one review that they're like, well, half of them you won't remember, so don't worry about getting all the names right. But like they made a comment about like one of that character's dad was like, you're never working, you're just like, you should get a real job. And they're like, well, the problem is in this day and age, we're all doing so much to work and create stuff that like there's never a time off. And I just think that's interesting, especially listeners. Probably most of you are writers. We're all writers on here. There really isn't. I mean, like you can take days off, but your brain's always thinking about what story you're working on and like, do I have something out that people will read, that will buy, that will can allow me. So like, I liked that line and that idea of like, yeah, you might look at somebody who's a streamer or a podcaster or whatever and be like, they're not really working, they're just having fun. But it's kind of like, no, they kind of have to always be working just to make any money. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. I'll have more feedback on it next week. I'm not finished with it, but I think my overall take is feels like a popcorn flick that you're going to totally forget about probably a week after reading it. So we'll see if it changes. And that's me.
That sounds great. I tried Hyde when I got an arc of it when I worked at Barnes and Noble, and I DNF'd it in like 30 pages.
I could totally see that. I'm really just trying to push and see if it will do something. I mean, like I said, I'm about 50 pages in, and they still haven't gotten to the hide and seek contest that is literally the title of the book. So.
Yeah, I will say one thing I was proud of myself is I spoiled it for myself because after I finished, I was like, because you got the company name pretty early on from the hide and seek thing, and I was like, is it what I think it is? And then I looked up everything, and I was like, wow, okay,
yeah,
I was right, cool.
I have a feeling I know exactly what you're talking about. They kind of give that away really
I have a
fast.
question for you.
Yes.
What do you think the hide and seek game actually is?
I mean, so without spoiling it, because I can't, because I haven't finished it. Right from the start, you get a map of this amusement park that they're at. And I feel like there's some line in that amusement park about like, you can't really find like nothing, the paths don't make sense and you can get lost. And there's one fancy house at the center of this amusement park. And the company's name is it's like Oxen something. So I feel like it's the Minotaur myth. So I think that's something to do with the Minotaur. And I don't know, end of the world or sacrifice to help keep the town live. So that's my guess.
All right, check the chat.
All right, good deal. Sorry, everybody. I'm not going to answer that, and I haven't finished it yet, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's why I said check the chat. I don't want to spoil for anybody. But I will say I'm intrigued by her second book, like the plot of her second book.
That's the one with the TV on the cover?
Yeah.
Okay.
My whole thing is I really enjoy like a well written book.
Yeah.
Like writing like authors like prose style is super important for me as a reader. And I just could not connect with that writing style.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
Vitlame, what about you? I know you've been recovering after your eye surgery and you've had a stressful week.
Yeah. It's been a really stressful week. So I haven't had anything like to do with a lot of media consumption except for maybe finishing Gore. And my husband and I, we started watching Invasion.
How was that?
It's on Apple TV, but we got it in by other measures. It's a slow burn for sure. it basically is about it. Like the point of views are different. Like you are watching through the eyes of a family who lives in New York. They are of Arabian descent, I think, or at least from some kind of Middle Eastern descent. And then you are also watching through the eyes of a communication manager at the Japanese NASA, or and it's called JASA, and I'm like, it's not called JASA. That's ridiculous. And we looked it up, and it's not. I'm like, yeah, JASA sounds stupid.
That was a filler name that they just forgot to change.
Yep. And then you are also watching through the eyes of a British boy who's on his way on a school trip to Wales, from Scotland, I think, from London to Scotland, and that's a pretty fucking long drive.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think the producers realized that. I'm like, you're not gonna take a couple of school kids to a school trip on a homemade bus.
Hey, after Laws of the Sky, I just assume that happens.
In which the fucking school teacher drives the bus. And then also you are, of course, because this is an American show, I think, you're through the eyes of an American soldier who's in Iran, I think. And he witnesses some kind of weird things that are happening. So basically, this is about from the point of view of these four individuals, the impending invasion of some kind of alien species.
Okay.
And it's a really slow burn. But it starts to pick up around, what episode was it? I think it's only 10 episodes, so of season 1 at least. And I think there is I think they just finished season 2. I think it starts to pick up at episode 4 or 5. Then you can kind of see what the aliens look like, but you don't get to see what was the purpose for this, what are they doing. And to be honest, I'm just really invested in just one person in this entire show, and I was like, if something happens to this woman, I will scream. And it's the mom of the family of 4, who are from the Middle Eastern descent, because basically her whole story is just her trying to just keep everyone together in this fuck up of a world. That's what happened. The world is basically ending around them. They had to flee from New York, and they're somewhere, I don't know where, God knows where, and they're just trying to find just some place where they can get shelter. And at first, when they were where there were attacks, people of course said they were terrorists, and then of course people started looking at them funny. They're like, yeah. Why wasn't your house affected? There was a huge earthquake thing, and every house in the neighborhood just got wrecked, but their house was fine. So they were so the neighbors were like, why is your house not affected? And they're like, have you seen inside? It's pretty fucking fucked. And to top it all off, though, at the beginning, she discovers that her husband has been cheating on her.
Oh, jeez.
And they still, throughout the entire season, they are, running away together. And I'm like, fucking dump his ass. It's if it had been me and I had discovered this right before everything started, I probably would have poisoned him. and then just said, goodbye. I'm taking the kids. Bye. And she's still processing the betrayal and everything throughout all of this, and the fucking douchebag still continues through episode 1 till 4, still continues to contact the girlfriend.
Oh jeez!
Wow.
While still running away from everything that's happening. I'm like, you fucking asshole. And I was like, Anisha, will you please just dump his ass? Like, he's just roadkill. Please just dump his ass. But of course, and my husband and I, we've been debating about this. He's like, what about the kids? I mean, he's probably not doing it because of the kids. And I'm like, they need a goddamn reality check. Like, the world is ending and their dad is a douchebag. I mean, what else is new? So yeah, they do like find something, but yeah, that's basically my crux of the series. Like, yeah, I enjoy watching it, but there are some things that doesn't make any fucking sense, and I think they're just doing it because, this is a weird alien thing, we don't know shit about it, but we still, as humans, we need to find out some way to kill them, you know?
Yeah.
And so they always have these kind of fucking Deus Ex Machina in this shit, and I don't like it, and I kind of have to roll my eyes about it. One thing, there's some kind of object that they find that somehow kills them, and then there's something about the British kid.
It's always a British kid.
Yeah. So and it's like, why can't it just be you guys just running around in despair? and just feel nihilism and be like, oh, everything's fucked, let's just do some weird fucking shit. Why can't it be like that? Why does it have to be like we have to be superior? But then you're like, but these fucking aliens conquered space traveling more than you, so why are we the superior species?
Yeah, right.
But I do enjoy it though, despite the obvious flaws. But yeah, that's basically what I've been watching. That's the only thing. I have been like watching from time to time just the one on Netflix, How to Become a Cult Leader also.
Oh gosh.
How's that?
It's basically just they're just taking the biggest cult leader names and just doing like telling people about it and stuff and getting like inside like former cult members just talking about it. It's nothing new that I don't know about. What I do enjoy is that the narrator is Peter Dinklage.
Nice.
And they also and in each episode they do like a basically like cartoon, like it's an animated reenactment.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's actually really well made animation. So I'm like, this is entertaining. But at the same time, I don't like that it's called How to Be a Cult Leader, and it actually gives out like examples and advice.
Oh, that's funny.
Of how to be like, what kind of tactics they should use, and I'm like, this is not good. Don't feed the narcissist anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the approach is not what I would say is the best approach.
Well,
but
you finish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it will definitely get people viewing it. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
But that's it.
I was going to say, did you hear what Peter Dinklage's new movie is?
No.
Yes, Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger. Where Peter Dinklage is playing the Toxic Avenger himself.
Oh, it's so wild. The poster is pretty sweet.
I'm so clueless. What the hell is that?
So back in like the 80s, I don't know if you ever heard of trauma movies, but Lloyd Kaufman is the president of Trauma, and they're one of the groups that will like literally put a movie out a week, and they're all really.
James Gunn got his start working for Trauma.
Yeah.
Lloyd Kaufman's actually in all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah. So they're just these like they're fun but really bad, cheap movies, and I think his first movie
very full of nudity.
Yes. And I think his first movie was Toxic Avenger, which was like a superhero in New York that was, I think, a janitor that
he was a janitor that got in an accident and covered in toxic waste that mutated him into a superpowered freak.
Yeah, and so he was very goopy, just a big green goopy monster that was trying to save people.
Okay, then.
It's being written and directed by Macon Blair, who did Blue Ruin and Green Room. Or he acted in Green Room. And he directed the movie I Don't Feel Home in This World Anymore. He was in Green Room. He was in Blue Ruin. He was in a couple others. He's also in Toxic Avenger. And have you seen the other cast list for this movie?
I might have, but not enough to remember.
I'm on the Wikipedia page now. I'm not going to read them all, but are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready.
Peter Dinklage as Winston Goose, or the Toxic Avenger. Jacob Tremblay as Winston's son. Taylor Page as J.J. Doherty. Kevin Bacon.
Oh my God.
As Bob Garbinger. Elijah Wood as Fritz Garbinger. And there's a few others, but those are some of the big ones that pop out.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy.
And the best part about it is Troma is also producing this. So you get a wide distributed movie with the Troma production logo.
That's so crazy.
In the beginning. But yeah, if you want to trip down some exploitation film history, Vitlame, look up Troma.
Okay.
It's super low budget. Like Matt said, they're putting on a movie a week.
Oh, wow.
Super low budget, full of nudity and gore. The plots are pretty much nonsensical.
Yeah.
The movies are just about more like gore effects and just being like, look what we can do. And just shoestring budgets, pumping stuff out.
Yeah. So
like
good times. Good times.
They've been around since the early 80s. Lloyd, yeah, like apparently, yeah, since the early 80s, they've been kind of doing their thing. This is wild. Okay, I'm on Troma's Wikipedia page, and it says Troma has produced or acquired early films featuring several rising talents before they were discovered, including Oliver Stone in The Battle of Love's Return, J.J. Abrams in Night Beast, Vincent D'Onofrio in The First Turn On, Marissa Tomei in The Toxic Avenger, Billy Bob Thornton in Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town, and Samuel L. Jackson in Death by Temptation.
Oh my God.
Oh, there's also Trey Parker and Matt Stone in Cannibal the Musical.
Yes. Cannibal the Musical.
And apparently the most recent Troma production was called Shakespeare Shitstorm. And it was a Troma adaptation of The Tempest by Shakespeare. That was written and directed by Lloyd Kaufman.
Oh my God.
So, okay, that's enough digression. We should get into Gore, which, talk about Troma going into Matt Wildasin's Gore kind of works pretty well as a bridge, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Going from one gory, exploitative film company to a super gory book. That's bunch of fun.
Yes.
But where to begin with Gore? Pretty much, the book opens with a foot on the gas.
Yeah.
They're introducing us to the moon, the drill. They're trying to drill to get this new energy source to like give energy to Earth and humans. And that's kind of the plot for Doom, is they're drilling in this moon to get access to energy. And the energy they find is demon energy. And they're hoping to harness demon energy to provide an energy source for humans. But of course, you can't harvest demon energy. Because what comes with demon energy?
Demons.
And what do demons like to do?
Energy. No. They like to
energy. Convert people into energy, Matt.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. What I'll say right from the start is what I really like that he did, besides lots of gore, because that's always fun, is he right from the start, like there's a couple page like intro where he talks about Doom and liking Doom, and as we've discussed at the beginning of the show, it's a game, and at least the one I played was first person. I have no idea if the other ones are, but
they're all first person.
Okay, good. So that will make this make more sense. What I really liked what he did was we get pretty quick because you get the captain or the captain of this drilling ship, and you have a scientist, and you have for like a small part of time the guy that helps kind of maintain the drill, but our main character is the captain and the scientist. And what I like is we get our Doom character, the Destroyer, I think his name is in this, or Subject X in this too, who is a video game character, and he is just running around murdering out people. But our point of view for the most part is with the captain and the scientist, which I appreciate it because like it gives you a little bit more, because the Subject X Destroyer character doesn't fully have a personality until like kind of the end, and so he at least gives us a way in, and that's nice. Though it is funny, like the captain is described right away as this like square jawed like tough guy, and you're kind of at first you're like, well, is this gonna be again, not knowing anything about Doom, I was like, maybe this is our guy, he's gonna find some magic gun and then just run around shooting people. But then we find an even more square-jawed, muscly man, and that one's our Doom guy. Anyway, I appreciated that aspect, because I'm sure it could be kind of hard to base a story on, again, not knowing if this character has a story in the games. But this character, we sort of don't get their story to the very end, so I'm sure that would have been hard to carry us all the way through, where at least we have these two others that carry us through and are actually entertaining. They're fun to read and follow.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree.
So I appreciated that kind of from the start. And
I like how we're given the perspective of just like a regular soldier.
Yeah.
While like the Doom guy is just off doing his crazy shit, and we're kind of seeing it from the perspective of like a regular human.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where in this one, the Doom, is he called X? I think they call him.
Yeah.
X.
Yeah. So X is just the Doom guy. They found a sarcophagus, which becomes his armor and source of weapons.
Yeah.
And it's just, as soon as he gets in the armor and just starts tearing into demons, the book just is nonstop, pedal to the floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's not a lot of breaks. There's like every once in a while we get like a mini break, but for the most part, you're just kind of just running right through this giant drill ship.
And kind of like Doom, the story is very basic.
Yeah.
But it's not about the story; it's about the fun.
Yeah, which
this is a blast.
Yeah. Well, we can get into some of the kills, because there's some very interesting kills.
There's a lot of interesting kills in this one.
But no, it was a lot of fun to read and like go through this thing and see it happen, and like he, again, for the millionth time, not knowing anything about Doom, like I definitely didn't need it. I knew what was going on. It was cool. Like all the monster descriptions were really good and like interesting and unique enough to be like, all right, like I'm on board. Like I totally get that these things were just like somewhere and they attacked the ship. And the weapon is quite amazing. There's some really cool, like, just seeing it change. And I did have to laugh that the captain has like this little handgun for a while, and he's just so ineffective with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when Gordon gets the shotgun and it's like the heaviest weapon Gordon's ever held in his life.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the fact that even though like when he got the weapon from Axe, he was able to, morph it into something that he wanted to use.
Yeah. That was fun. I did like at the beginning. So for listeners, like they find like this like, I don't know, normal size sarcophagus, and then they find this like giant, just this giant like square thing. And like I like this trope, especially in this. It was just funny to have like the scientist be very much like we're gonna like we need to keep this, and we need it for like use
science.
For us. Yeah, science.
We need it for science.
I was cracking up with that. He's just like, oh, there's so, even like as they were going through and watching X do all these crazy things, like up to a certain point, the scientist was still like, oh man, we could really like use all of this.
Yeah, he started like, even in the middle of it, he was like, this if I could harness this blood, we could make super soldiers. Yeah. And it's kind of funny though, because he actually like later in the story, it is actually implied that this was how X was made though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that little connection there. I was like, oh, look at that. The folly of man. Our hubris.
The folly of man. We have spit in God's face. He's punished us for our hubris.
It was interesting, like, and I always sort of have this problem with sci-fi stuff. So like, this is just me. This is set some point in the future, and they talk about like the golden age, which I think is our current time.
Yeah.
But it always cracks me up when very far in the future, the phrases and things they use are like currently used. So
yeah,
like, and I get that, like having to come up with the time of coming up with new phrases is a pain in the butt, and then trying to like make it make sense enough for a reader to understand. But it always like cracks me up when I like hear it and just like read that kind of thing, and I was just like, oh, I get it, but like it's just the fun. It just pulls me out just a hair.
Yeah. I get what you mean. It's like and it doesn't have to be like super like complex things that you can add to make it like not belong to the time period that you're writing it in, but that's supposed to be set in.
Yeah.
Like what really comes to mind to me, like at first, is like Demolition Man.
Yeah.
It's like it's set in the future, but even though it doesn't look like it's futuristic, like how they speak, like they say salutations.
Yeah.
Or the three shells.
Yeah.
It's just these kind of little things that kind of will make you know that, okay, this is not the time that I'm in.
Yeah, and they cheat. Like, I love Demolition Man, but they cheat it, having like some of the characters be like really obsessed with the 20th century.
Oh yeah, that's always like that.
It's like, oh, that's easy. Let's have them be obsessed with it, and then they can use all the phrases from that time.
Yeah. It's always gonna be like that. I mean, it's inescapable, I think.
Yeah. And
I mean, they still do it in like they did it in Star Trek, man. I mean, in Star Trek Voyager, like the pilot was like, "I love 20th century shit," and you're like, "Okay, then." It's like his entire fucking room was just old 20th century stuff.
Yeah.
And even when they went to the hologram, they just did like the old movies, like 20th century movies, and I'm like, dude, really? What the hell?
Was it Demolition Man that had all the Taco Bell promo, or was it KFC and Demolition Man?
No, it was Taco Bell.
Demolition Man and Taco Bell.
Oh, it was Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And it's totally not a complaint on my part. Like, I get it. It's just funny, like, to think about and be like, well, do we use phrases from, I don't know, the 1400s or 1500s? And maybe we do, and I just don't notice. But
I mean,
anyway,
a lot of the words we used are derived from words that came back then.
Yeah.
So, So maybe, why not?
Like this. Okay, I'm gonna pull out my English nerd in me. You know how we call Shakespeare Old English?
Yes.
You know, technically Shakespeare's modern English.
Oh, look at that.
Like anything from Shakespeare's time to modern day is what we consider modern English.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
That's just because the writers of this timeline are cheating again.
What it is people may have spoke differently, but like in Shakespeare's time, there wasn't official spellings. Yeah. So words were often kind of spelled based on how they sounded.
Yeah.
So that makes it a bit difficult to read. But if you read it out loud, it's easy to follow.
Yeah.
But the idea is like language is an ever-changing thing, but it's also something that changes very slowly over time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I could imagine 1,000 years from now, people talking similar as we do, but with some nuances that kind of work for how they talk in their time period versus how we talk here.
Yeah.
We go back to the 1900s. People were still talking back then similar to how we talk now.
True. We just don't have a lot of 23 skidoos.
That's true.
But I digressed us. Gore. Let's take a minute and talk about some of the crazy murders. There's one in particular that really stands out.
Which is the one that stands out for you, Matt?
I would have to say the shotgun up the ass.
Yeah, I was going to say the shotgun up the ass as well for me.
Yeah.
I was like, is this really happening?
Yes, it is.
And I hate the fact, okay, I know. I hate the fact that this was supposed to be like a demon of some kind, but how I pictured this was either a rhino or an elephant, and I did not like that.
So it was in reverse.
My head just like even though I read the description of like this is a demon, my head is like, nah, it's charging like an elephant, you know?
Yeah.
It's an animal.
You ever see Ace Ventura 2, Vitlaman?
I have. I know. I have. It's like a reverse Ace Ventura 2.
It's the reverse scene where he's going up the ass of the.
Yes. But the thing is, I wasn't laughing as hysterically at that scene as I was reading this.
Yes. Oh my god! Yeah, that was something. I did not think that would happen.
Honestly, like most of this book, I just had a smile across my face as I was reading it.
Yeah.
Like I read this book in 2 sittings. It was so hard for me to put down.
Yeah.
I think my only I can't say complaint, but I kind of want to see more like what happened to Logan.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It's like because they were like the 3 people that were actually they had alliance in the story, and then Logan just disappeared, and I'm like, well, what happened to Logan? At least acknowledge that he went down horrifically, or you know.
Yeah, I can't remember, and I guess I could flip through, but I don't know. Do we want to get in spoilers? Like,
I don't think we should. The book just came out.
All right, no spoilers. Then never mind. I'll ask you later.
Super deep spoilers, just because like it's very new.
Yeah, that's fair. I won't ask that question then. But yeah, I agreed. It would have been nice to kind of known what happened to that to him.
Because he had the common thing, like, you know, don't do this. This is not good. Like, he's the voice of reason, but also he's like, I'm gonna be the guy who said he told you so. Yeah. And as you know from both books and films, like that guy usually is like unalived horrifically.
Yeah.
On screen usually. So I was kind of like bummed. I'm like, I wanted to know, like, hey, what happened to Logan?
Yeah, no, totally. I did like bringing up Logan. I thought that was neat because, like, again, the first couple chapters, we really don't have, like, we're just getting introduced to everybody and this ship and everything like that, or drilling machine thing. I did like when he, like, we kind of get this idea of like the superstitions on this, like this moon, because they've been on it for a really long time, and I think it's like a moon for Jupiter, and so like when something happens and the ice of this planet or moon turns red, and they all have like a not want to work during that, except for like the captain, because the captain doesn't believe in that. But I thought that was like a really, like, if Matt wanted to play with that kind of same ship but less gore, that would be a really interesting thing, this idea of like of superstitions carrying to a new place, and what that does and acts. I thought that was like a really neat concept that we only get like touched upon.
Yeah,
I agree.
Were there any other kills, or are we going to spoil anything if we go to other kills?
Some of my favorite scenes of this were when Gordon is just looking at everything Subject X has done. It's just like hallways full of demons and gore everywhere, and Gordon is just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, especially when they like at one point when he, like, I don't know, jabs himself with something, adrenaline or something that makes him even crazier, and he just goes around punching all of them. It's like, holy crap.
I think that was something that you could do in the game, right?
Yeah, that was something you could do in the game.
Okay, I did wonder that. I'm like, you can run around just punching demons' heads off.
And well, yeah. So in Doom 20, the one it did in 2016 and the sequel Doom Eternal, you can stun enemies, and if they're glowing a certain color, you can press a button for a melee attack, and that'll drive your character to do an execution, where he does some really gory execution on the screen, and then the demon drops ammo. So like you use the demon drops health if you do that. You also have a chainsaw that has limited uses, and if you use the chainsaw, the demon drops ammo. So you have to utilize both resource management, gory kills, and other things to like keep your character going. Because the whole thing of the newer Doom games is all about forward momentum, and it's all about just keeping that pace moving forward and resource management. So they give you less ammo with the idea that you're doing what you can to shoot accurately, get ammo when you need to, and just kind of fly through the stages. That being said, the story in Gore makes more sense than the story of the new Doom games. Like, Doom 2016 is like, I think my favorite thing in Doom 2016 is when the game starts, the game opens, your character wakes up out of the sarcophagus, and right away, there are two demons that appear in the room. You violently kill both of them, put on your armor, and then as you're going up, the guy who runs the base begins trying to tell you like the game backstory of what's going on and what you have to do, and your character just takes the screen and smashes it. Your character's like, fuck this shit, I don't care, I just want to kill demons. And then the game just goes rip and tear. But like, as you're playing the game, you'll get lore and you'll get things that kind of like builds a background of everything. And then when they made the sequel, they wanted to make it more story heavy. So they tie the sequel more into the lore that they're creating with like the 2016 Doom. And by the end of the fucking game, your character has to summon the Dark Lord and kill the Dark Lord once and for all. And you want to know who the Dark Lord is? An evil version of your character.
Oh.
It's the dumbest fucking shit in the world. It's so fucking dumb. And like, I'm happy Matt, because Matt is a good writer, he was able to tell pay homage to these games, but tell a much more coherent and cohesive story than the one they try to tell in those games.
Yeah. No,
because oh boy.
Yeah.
I will say though, those games are fun, but don't play them for the story. The story's a fucking mess.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I think he did a really good, like, the story, like, everything that happens all totally makes sense in what's happening here. And yeah, there's no mirror version of yourself. And it's funny that you bring up the forward momentum thing, because that's definitely, like, in this too, at least I picked up. It just, they couldn't stop, and, like, you know, they had their goals of where to go and then what to do next and everything like that. And so it was always kind of moving towards that. And even at one point, there's a possibility of them having to turn around and, like, retread steps, and they figure out a way to not do that. So I keeping that concept of, like, well, we're always going somewhere and we're not walking backwards. So I did appreciate that.
Indeed.
Yeah, no, honestly, I had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah,
it's a really fun book. I think our audience should check it out. I don't want to spoil it because I feel like it's just a lot of fun once you get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That being said, it's available now. Pick up a copy. I bought a signed copy directly from Matt. And plus, the cover is so awesome. Matt makes great covers.
He really does. Yeah, that cover is so cool.
The cover is cool. And the actual book, he has cool designs on the pages and stuff too.
Oh, neat.
Or, like, the pages, if it's a blank page, there's the outline of a skull on it.
Oh, nice.
And, like, the other pages have, like, these, like, borders that are around it and stuff that kind of change the tones a little bit.
That's so cool.
Like, the formatting inside the book is really cool.
Damn, my Kindle is so fucking old. It's a second generation Kindle that still works.
Does it still have a keyboard at the bottom?
Does it what now?
Have a keyboard at the bottom of it?
No. It has it has a button that, like, that pops up the keyboard on the screen, but you have to, like, it's old, okay?
Yeah. Oh no, like the first I
can never see, like, really pretty, like, formatting on the ebooks either. So I'm like, well, that sucks. That sucks about having a really old Kindle, but I'm not gonna replace it because it still works.
Right? That's mine is too.
Exactly.
I don't know what generation mine is, but it's a super old one, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep it until it dies.
Yes.
I need a new Kindle, but I'm probably going to buy one after my Ska Festival because all my money is going towards that right now. But that being said, I have a special announcement for us for next week. We have our first guest in a while.
Yay!
And it's going to be Daniel Brom.
Nice.
And we're going to be talking about Robert Eichmann.
Awesome.
As well as promoting his new book, The Serpent Shadow.
Sweet.
Which is out by Cemetery Dance. I think it came out the other week. I read it a few months ago. I think I talked about it here on the podcast. But it is a wonderful cosmic horror, strange, weird novella that is, if you like weird fiction, if you like Robert Eichmann type stuff, I highly recommend it. The parts of the novella, and I don't mean this in a negative way, because I know how we all felt about the ceremonies. Parts of the novella felt about a good version of the ceremonies.
Okay, good.
But maybe Daniel might not appreciate me saying that, because I don't know how I was feeling about the ceremonies. But that being said, I got the vibe of the ceremonies, only this book was actually enjoyable, where I thought the ceremonies was a slog.
You know, it's funny. I keep seeing that ceremonies pop up, and I'm like, so many people are recommending it and loving it. I'm like, do I need to give it another go? Probably
no.
not.
You don't. Honestly, I think half the reason people are liking and recommend that book is for the ending, because I think it has a great ending. But it's just a slog to get there.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking slog. Anyway, Daniel Brom will be on. And the week after that, I have Rami Unger coming on as well.
Nice.
And he'll be promoting his new book collection coming out called Hannah and Other Stories.
Awesome.
But, Vitlame, where can our listeners get in touch with you?
Still on the media break. It's actually been really good for me, so yeah, I'm probably gonna continue that for a while now, but I'm still on
Keep that media break going?
Yeah. So, but if people want to get in touch with me, they can like DM me on X or Twitter or whatever the name is going to end up be at VitlameS, and I'm also on Blue Sky at VitlameMist.
All right, and Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say the same things on Twitter, X Twitter, Brandenburg DM, and I am also on Blue Sky just under my name, Matt Brandenburg, and I'm bouncing between the two, so you'll probably catch me somewhere.
You can find me on Blue Sky under my name, Richard Gerlach. You can follow Abyss on X or Twitter with Added to Staring. And this is Richard Gerlach saying, keep staring.